Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a brief look at what's going on in the stock and crypto markets, as well as taking a look at what's happening in my Raiz Invest and Spaceship Voyager Universe portfolio, as well as what I'm going to be doing now that I'm unable to work for a couple of weeks. But as always, if you do find this video useful or informative, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It only takes a few seconds and it is one of the most effective ways to help support the channel. So thank you for that. But with that said, let's get straight into it. Looking at the local ASX 200, you would think that it's defying gravity right now, despite the increase in cases in every state, especially New South Wales. It just keeps going up. It ended the week again on another all-time high, and I have to wonder if 8,000 on the ASX 200 index is a goal attainable by the end of the year, and given the rate that it's going up, it may well happen. You have big companies like Commonwealth Bank, who just announced a record profit and $6 billion in share buybacks. You have Telstra, who is on the verge, at least, of multiple year highs, pulling things up. And the broad index, as a result, is in a very, very good state right now. And very similar is happening in the United States right now. The S&P 500, again, more all-time highs. It just doesn't care. Up and up and up she goes. The US did have their CPI data released a few days ago, and while it is still high, it was within the expected range. Last month, it kind of blew past expectations and was a little bit higher, but right now it seems to be moderating the rate that it's growing at, and it is possible in the next few months we will see that reversal start to happen that we've talked about in prior months, where inflation starts to deflect back downward and see things settle back into normality. But it is what it is, and again, the markets just don't seem to care. Everything's on an uptick, and it's just no matter where you go with the stock market, things seem to be really, really trending up. And on the crypto market, we are seeing renewed strength as well. The Bitcoin and the other altcoins are getting their follow through. BTC at the time of recording this was over 47,000 USD, and it actually did hit 48,000 USD briefly yesterday before retreating down a little bit. And what's interesting to see, and in my opinion this is kind of a sign of a healthy crypto market, is that the altcoins now are starting to show a lot of strength. You have things like XRP, Ripple, and Cardano that are really pumping this week, and this type of environment is really, really good for people who swing trade or do short-term trading, because it is possible to essentially go from, say, BTC while it's doing well, then when it starts to consolidate, you swap to a altcoin, and you can kind of flip between. When things are pumping at different times, it makes it easy to sort of flip your profits from one to another. But it's really, really good, and obviously it's helped pulling up the Raiz Invest portfolio and my own crypto holdings that I do have right now. And hopefully we'll see BTC back above 50k USD soon, but again, nobody can predict the future. But that's just a brief look at what's going on in crypto land. But anyway, let's take a look at what's happening in the Raiz Invest account. And right now, we are for the Raiz Invest account, we're at 87,000 $888 now, with an overall gain of $12,355, which in percentage terms is 22.94%. So more of the same as we had last week. You know, things are edging up. The ASX 200 portion of the portfolio is pulling up nicely. Obviously, the Bitcoin portion is also trending up, being up around 13% for the week. The only laggard in the portfolio, and I've said this again and again the last few months, is the good friend, the iShares Asia 50, which just can't seem to get a break. It can't seem to sort of get any follow through, and it's down nearly 2% for the week, unfortunately. And I did trim my exposure slightly a few weeks ago, and it's maybe for the best. Hopefully we do see a bit more follow through on this one, and you know, see it get back to its all-time highs. But again, for the year, it is still up reasonably. So I guess zooming out on the big picture, it's not really that bad, but some companies are still really suffering, like Tencent and Alibaba. A lot of those Chinese-based tech stocks are really taking a hammering, and you know, it is what it is. This is a multi-year game, so not too stressed about it. But yeah, overall the portfolio's doing really, really well and increasing towards that $90,000 mark. And for the contributions, I have been doing $100 a day for the past week. It appears that the Raiz roundups are now working again with NAB Bank, so that's good. I mean, they make up a fairly small proportion of my capital input into the account, but nevertheless, you know, it's good to see it working again. However, I do have a little bit of a snag and a bit of a conundrum I'm facing right now. I have been forced into isolation for 2 weeks because my wife works at a tier 1 exposure site in Victoria, and being a household contact, I have to isolate for 2 weeks with her. So I'm stuck at home for 2 weeks and I can't work, which is something of a first for me, and I don't quite know how to feel about that. On one hand, I do want to work and I do want to make more money, but I am enjoying the time off. It's been a few years since I've taken a holiday or any sort of significant break, so I think my body will really, really appreciate this. But with that said, I may have to significantly scale back or stop my contributions to investing for the next couple of weeks. I think I still will get some sort of pay from my job. I think it'll be sort of 38 hours of equivalent. So normally I work quite a bit more than that, so I may not be able to do the customary $100 a day, but you know what? I don't mind at all. I want my subscribers to see that, you know, I'm not some bottomless pit of money. I am human as well, and I face struggles and challenges same as anybody, and that, you know, like everybody else, I have setbacks as well. So it is what it is, and you know, some things you just can't anticipate, and that's just what's going on, and I'm not mad about it. There's nothing I can do about it. I just have to roll with the punches on this one. But that's what's happening on the Raiz Invest side of things. As for Spaceship, we are currently at $22,511 with an overall gain of $3,715. Very, very little change in the past week, and by very little change I mean absolutely quiet on the Western Front type thing. The Universe unit price is at $2.31, and it's up 0.05% for the week. And sorry if you hear my cats tumbling around, they're getting kind of playful right now, but it is what it is. And obviously it's kind of in line with the NASDAQ 100, which, you know, contrary to the S&P 500, has stayed a little bit flatter. It is flirting with all-time highs still, but not to the same level as the S&P 500. It's a little more subdued, so it is what it is there. One thing that I find interesting about the Spaceship Voyager unit price for Universe portfolio is that so much of the return is concentrated in the period between like March 2020 and February of this year, in that sort of 11-12 month window. And I guess you could say that's true of all stocks or most stocks and indices, but it seems very, very pronounced for the Universe portfolio. I mean, from the bottom of the crash till February, it nearly doubled. And even if you take the pre-crash high of like $1.47 and compare it to February 2021, where it was like $2.23, I mean, that's still like a 70-75% increase. And I do kind of wonder, like, if the percentage, the overall gain of Universe will kind of flatten out a little bit once time does progress, because I'll be curious to see if we do get gains of this magnitude. I think right now the percentages look so damn good just because the past year was such an incredible year for it, and I think it's a bit of an outlier because it had more growth and tech exposure than most ETFs and all that sort of thing. And if you look at it now, like, it still has gone up for, you know, the last 6 months, but it hasn't gone up nearly as much as what it did, and it seems a lot more normal, which is good. I mean, you know, it's still increasing. You still do want it to go up, but I think it may be a sort of time where we have to temper our expectations just a little bit and realize that over the long term, you know, maybe between 10 or 20% annual growth is more to be expected, rather than, you know, the numbers like 30 or 40 or 50%, because, you know, a lot of people did jump into this app last year and they've seen basically the best of it. So I mean, it could keep going up. I mean, it could go up another 100%. I don't know, but it's just, you know, in my opinion, try to, you know, temper your expectations just a little bit with these sort of things. Obviously, it's a great portfolio and I have no qualms with it, but it has been a very exceptional time for it. So don't think that, you know, maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, it's going to be able to do this year on year. But anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. And this week, there's only been one referral, so thank you, Sarah there. Sarah, sorry if I butchered your name there. I haven't put any money in it aside from the $250 a couple of weeks ago, and obviously right now my financial situation is going to be a little more constrained, so I'll see how much income I'll be getting in for the next few weeks. Obviously, again, like I said, you know, being unable to work kind of does put a damper on things, but I should be able to access sick pay or something like that while I sit at home isolated. But it is what it is. You know, I'll keep hanging on to this one and, you know, see how it progresses over the year. Like I said, it'll be curious to see what the next year or two brings, whether it can keep up such insane percentages or whether it'll sort of moderate back down to normal. But that's about all I've got to say for Spaceship. What are you guys doing right now with regards to your investments? Are you continuing to invest at full tilt, like every bit of money that you get in, are you investing, or are you conserving some cash on the sides? I mentioned it a few times before this week's video that I am trying to conserve a little more cash, and I'm trying to be a little less aggressive with how much I invest during these boom times. I want to have a little more ammo to put into the markets when things are getting really, really dicey. And I don't intend to sell either Raiz or Spaceship for the foreseeable future, but it'd be nice to just let a bit of cash back up so that if a situation like February, March of this year, or even like last year in a more severe case, transpires, I can go 200% in and just buy. But it is what it is. But with that said, I'm just going to leave it here and say that my name is Rich. I'll catch you guys in the next one.